Welcome back, everybody. Dirk the Red Panda here with Tennis Ace. And this is kind of a special episode because this is episode 50. This is my longest running series, and I don't know, I'm starting to get butterflies in my chest for just the possibilities I can do for this episode. I'm trying to get Basket on possibly for this episode, maybe to answer questions, maybe even to kind of just talk and join me while I read. I really don't know. I messaged him on Discord, and I'm feeling like an eager little fan waiting for him. Oh God. So yeah, like I said, I was done with finals. Yesterday. I'm like, what is today? It's summer already. One day into summer, and this is my voice. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just kind of head over heels for possibilities of what I'm going to do here. My voice is kind of trailing off there a little. Hooray, you're streaming at a reasonable time. Yes. For most people in the Americas, yes. Sure, Dyer. I see you there. But, yeah. So, yesterday was our last episode, and we were just finishing day 20, which I was going to continue on to day 21, but I was super hungry. It was 9 at night. I hadn't eaten dinner, and my friends were going out, so I decided to hold off episode 50 or day 21 until today to kind of make Shuichi's episode the 50th episode. I was originally planning to make Shuichi's episode to be episode 50, and things didn't match up. But hey, we got to work now. So, yeah. What am I gonna do now? What should I do? Help! So, let me get up Tennis Ace. Where the hell did I put it? There it is. So, here we are. At the end. Did I say that the right part? This is day 21, right? Weird. Oh yeah, because it started out like this. Alright, so I'm like, why is it nighttime? It's day 21. So, alright, butterflies out of my stomach. So, let's just, start with the reading. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into the reading. Alright, so by the time I left that class display, or that last class display, the sun had already completely set, and it was too dark to see without the hallway lights. Most students and guests alike were headed to the outside of the school buildings as the last few remaining displays began to shut down. I spent all of today on my own. I actually managed to see Shuichi getting dragged around by the arm once a few hours ago. I guess that Hitaka-chan was serious about not letting him go. Well, this is what he gets for ignoring his sister for so long. Still, I wish I could be spending time with him right now. Exiting the building, I see a lot of people huddled around the bonfire. They are stacking the logs all neatly in a squared shape, all of them set up very precisely. I guess the point is for it to look aesthetic for the photos. Also, is it bigger than last year's, or is it my imagination? I guess Shuichi did a really good job of clearing the budget for the festival, huh? Looking around, there are definitely a lot of people here today. I wonder if there are more guests this year than we had last year. Far as I know, no one makes a census of that, so I don't think anyone knows. Ah, Nico. I hear my name being called and immediately turn around, seeing the figure of a tall bunny hopping towards me with a big smile. Hey there, Saya. I haven't seen you since Monday. What's up? Oh, not much. I've just been going around the festival looking at anything that seemed interesting. What about you? I helped out a lot of my class's cafe, so I don't have as much free time as I would have liked. Or I didn't have as much free time as I would have liked. That's too bad. I was free the whole time, but honestly, I didn't have as much fun as I thought I would. Really? How come? Well, everyone else was busy and I kinda got tired of going around alone. Whoa! Are you okay? That certainly doesn't sound like you. Even I want company every now and again. It's not weird. Although it was a specific person's company that I missed the most. Did you come outside to watch the bonfire dance? Or are you taking part? Nah, I don't really have anyone to dance with. I just didn't really have a reason to stay indoors. Unless you would like to dance with me. Sorry, I already have someone to dance with. Oh, right. Are you going to dance with Keikun? You did dance with him last year. Nah, I'm going to dance with this guy I've been kinda sorta maybe flirting with for a while now. Besides, Keikun is with his band. Wait. A guy you've been. You have a date? Oof. Don't trigger her. As soon as those words left my mouth, I knew I screwed up. I mean, wow, good for you. You have a date. Nice try. Oof. For my indiscretion, I receive a swift punch to the gut. Sorry. Why do you even have to be so surprised? It's not like I've never dated before. I've had boyfriends, you know. Yeah, but you've been single since you and Murasaki-senpai broke up. I kinda expected you to stay that way. Oh god. She was with Murasaki? Oh god, the senior dating freshman trope. Interesting scenario. Anyway, it's not like I was single because no guys hit on me. I just wasn't interested in any of them. To be perfectly honest, I have a hard time believing any guy would hit on her. Who would ever want such a violent woman as a girlfriend? Oh my god. It's like, I want to just like name call somebody I know in real life. It's like the same person that I talked about being like the Chem Club president. It's like, they're dating one of my friends, and it's like, she's also kind of violent like this. It's like, oh my god. My friend is basically Saya. Holy crap. So relatable. Woo. Hold on, let me adjust my mic. Not my mic, my headphones, I mean. And get a sip of water, cause I just had lunch, my voice is dry. Continuing. I'd probably be completely emasculated if I ever dated someone like her. I guess you'll just have to watch us dance, huh? Oh, sure. Relish my misery. That is so nice of you. If you didn't want me to, then you shouldn't have been an ass. For fuck's sake, I just blurted it out. It's not like I wanted to offend you. Devil woman. I'll just stand by the sidelines and I'll watch everyone else dance. You and your mystery guy. Mystery? Is this a pun? I'm not sure if this is a pun or a typo. Your mystery guy. Shuichi and Hitaka-chan. Hey, Nico-kun. Yeah? I'm gonna ask you a question and whatever you say, I'll believe you, okay? Okay? Why are you acting so awkward all of a sudden? Dense motherfudger. Are you and Shu-chan dating? My heart. Help. I immediately freeze. I wasn't expecting to get asked this, and at point blank too. My mind goes blank for a second, and I have a hard time even absorbing what I was just asked. Why are you asking me that? That's such a weird question. It's just that you two have been awfully close later, so... or lately, so... you know... She knows Shuichi told her, I'm gonna say tell the truth. Let me just check my YouTube chat because for some reason my YouTube chat goes black on the YouTube streaming part. And then I can't read it, so I have to use the OBS to read it halfway through the stream. So right now I'm just seeing if I can still read it. Your guys' font is in white for now. So anyway, I am going to tell the truth because I think it'd be really helpful. And she's the type of person I don't think would really be like that gossipy, I think. So yeah, tell her the truth. To be honest, I have no reason to hide this from her. Saya is my oldest friend, right up there with Shuichi. And even even he said it himself that she already knew he had feelings for me for a while. Of all the people I know, I think she's the most likely to be supportive of us. I am, yeah. Really? Oh, that's so great. I'm so happy for you guys. She suddenly tackles me, wrapping her arms around me in a tight, bone-crushing hug. Ow, 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 I get it. Please let go of me. Oh, sorry. Still, that's great news. I've known he's had feelings for you for so long, but I never thought anything could come out of it. Hold on. I only found out about it recently, and I didn't even know I liked guys until then. To be honest, I'm still confused about the whole thing and not so sure about how it, works. You're overthinking it. It's not that different from normal. Falling for someone is always the same. The only difference is what they have between their legs. Do you really have to put it that way? What? It's true. You're so not ladylike at all. Oh man, I have to go congratulate him later. Aren't you a bit too excited about this? Oh, come on. If the two of you are dating, then Shuichi must be really happy right now. And in such good timing, too, considering his team lost this weekend. Well, your team lost the finals. Now let's go dating. Sorry. You're probably the only reason he can be so cheerful right now. I hadn't thought of that. It's not all good. I kept wishing I could spend time with him during the festival, but he's been so busy. We've only seen each other 2 or 3 times since the weekend. Ah, that's a bummer. I guess you must really be upset that Hithaka-chan is dragging him around, huh? Yep. Still, I wish you guys all the best. I hope it all works out between you two. And I swear, if you do the same thing to him that you've done with your ex-girlfriends, I will castrate you. Roger that. Anyway, I have to go. Talk to you later. Oh god. Never mess with Saya. Scary. Saya-chan, you're too scary. The bonfire is lit, and the people around it all take a step back to avoid standing too close to the flames. I watch the orange flames crackling and dancing around high in the air. The heat against my face is pretty comfortable, even if it's a little bright. Little by little, people start forming a wide circle around the fire, separating themselves in pairs. Be they friends, lovers, whatever, there are lots of people beginning to dance together. It's something I've never really taken part in during all my years at school. I never really saw the point. I always thought it was a silly little thing. As people dance around the bonfire, going in circles, I spot Shuichi and Hithaka dancing. I wave at them and the two seem to spot me too. Hithaka-chan waves enthusiastically at me. Hold on, I just got some Discord messages. 2 from Basket. Sure, I just got home and I don't really mind. What time is the stream? Right now, actually. So I'm gonna tell him. whenever. Hold on, I'm just gonna text him. Oh. I already saw your stream, by the way. Whoopsies. I joined about 5 minutes ago or so, but you didn't see when I greeted you. Oh, I'm so sorry, Basket. Hello. And then there's a Tennis Ace Discord that's also hitting me up. Shoot. So Discord's like, I'm still new to it. So, yeah. I've been trying to like bounce back and forth between my OBS screen and my YouTube chat screen. So, yeah. So, I see you guys also mentioning I should play Password, which I have heard of, and I even have one of my friends who's got like a special cameo in it, supposedly. So, yeah. Alright. Let's see if anybody else said anything. Announcements. Okay, just me streaming. Cool. I'm gonna keep going, and once Basket replies about that, then I'll voice call him. So, Hithaka-chan waves enthusiastically at me. Shuichi, on the other hand, looks at me with a scrunched up face. I can't really tell what he's thinking. Maybe he also wishes he were dancing with me? It'd be nice if that were the case. They disappear behind the bonfire again. It's weird how entrancing and really rhythmic this whole thing is. Even though people are all dancing their own thing and no pairs are synced up with each other. It almost looks like a wave going to and fro. You can call me if you like, but you're pretty close to the end of the update, so I don't know if this stream would last that long. Okay. So, alright, so basically what I'm going to do is finish out day 21, and then I'll talk with Basket. So, yeah, after this day, he'll basically be on voice call, so we got him. Didn't know it was a short update, too, which is what he just told me. Kind of regretting not finishing it out yesterday. Anyway, back to the live control room. Anyway, so it almost looks like a wave going to and fro. I have to admit, it's kind of fun to watch. When the circle goes around again, I see Shuichi and Hithaka have disappeared. I wonder to myself what happened to them when I see the two walking my way. Did they give up on dancing already? I know Shuichi has 2 left feet, but he can't have been that bad that she just called it quits. Oh, there's the duo. What are you guys doing? Gave up on dancing already? I already had my fun. Besides, I'm not the one this idiot wants to dance with. Huh? Sorry, Hitaka. I promise I'll make it up to you later. Whatever. Go dance with him if that's important to you. Just don't blame me if he's not as good of a dancer as I am. She chuckles, poking him in the ribs with a haughty smile on her face. Wait, what are you guys talking about? Nee, would you dance with me? Wait, seriously? I know it's not uncommon for friends to dance together, but there are very few guys dancing together. The underlying question is pretty clear. Are you sure you want to do it in front of all these people? Speaking of what I personally want, yeah, I would love to dance with him. But what if people think something's up because we did? Hell, I need to stop overthinking things. How did Hithaka even agree to this? There's no way he told her about us. Otherwise, she wouldn't be in such a good mood. I don't mind if you don't. The look on his face, his eyes looked at me almost pleadingly. Oh, like he were to say, please, dance with me. Shuichi raised his hand, offering his open palm to me. I swallowed a big chunk of saliva, trying to work up the courage to take it. Oh, stop dawdling already! Otherwise the dance will be over and you'll have gotten nowhere. What? She gives me a strong slap on the back that makes me jump forward. It's the photo. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Choking up. Oh, this is so beautiful. Shuichi smiles warmly at me, his eyes silently encouraging me to accept his offer. I can't believe he actually asked her to let us dance together. He's such an idiot. What if he had clued her into us dating? Really, what a reckless idiot! Oh, sorry, is my mic hiding out? Alright, anyway. Are you sure about this? As sure as I'll ever be. God, his eyes are so beautiful with the light of the bonfire shining on them. I raise my hand to take his, deciding to forget about being cautious. I'll just do what I want to do right now. After all, this is our last year. This will be my only chance to do this with him while we're still students together. Oh, it's so cute. Oh my god. I grasp Shuichi's hand with my own. His hand is soft and warm and even a little clammy. I can feel my heart racing in my chest. God, this is so embarrassing. Still, I'm okay with that for now. Thanks for indulging me. I think I should be saying the same. I laugh, suddenly feeling really bold. Shuichi smiles at me, his bright green eyes shining like gems, all their warm affection directed at me. Come on, let's join the circle. Oh. Shuichi leads me towards a circle of students dancing together. My ears twitch and my whole body shudders under this sudden heat. Still, the heat of the fire gently envelops me, its bright light tinting the ground beneath us orange. We slowly dance around the circle. I try my best not to be awkward, but it's no secret to anyone that I'm not a dancer. Despite tripping a few times and making total fools of ourselves, the two of us laugh and smile the whole time. Shuichi wraps an arm around my waist, squeezing me tightly and fondly. I enjoy the feeling of his hands on me far more than I thought I would. It's weird. Over this past week, I've had many times where I had doubts or felt confused about my feelings. I felt uneasy, uncertain, and worried about how things might end up between us. But every time we get close like this, I forget all those thoughts and just enjoy myself. Far more than I felt I could doing things like these. Even if it's simple and silly, doing it just the two of us is really enjoyable. I'm glad he asked me to dance, and I'm glad I agreed to. You look pretty cute with that look on your face. Shuichi leans his snout close to my ear and whispers to me, a big, handsome smile on his face. I feel an urge to kiss him then and there, but I stop myself. It's not something I should do in public like this. I get the feeling that every time he kisses me, I become more addicted to that feeling. God, I want us to be alone so much right now. It's so weird to suddenly be feeling that way. Thanks. You look pretty handsome too. I'm glad you think so. Yours is the only option that matters to me on that front. My face feels a bit flushed at those words. My ears twitch a little from the embarrassment. Smooth talker. I wish. Maybe if I would have managed to get you earlier. Somehow I just don't see that happening. Hey, it's not like you're so smooth either. And you're also a terrible dancer. Same goes for you. I suddenly kick him on the ankle, making him wince and laugh at the same time. Ow! You're kicking me now. You're lucky we're in public, otherwise I'd make you pay for that. I'm not afraid to take you, big guy. I'll keep that in mind. Shuichi squeezes my hand together. Shuichi squeezes my hand tighter. I can barely feel the warmth of his body amid the heat of the fire, but nevertheless, it's still there. It's a very comfortable, nostalgic feeling. Now that I think about it, he's always looked for an excuse to hold or hug me whenever he could. When I think about it, those memories are far more precious to me than I thought they would be. I think I might be falling for him pretty hard. It scares me just how easily that happened. Stupid handsome Shuichi. Oh, an hour later. Don't go! I barely noticed time passing by. In fact, the dance was over all too quickly. Part of me feels like I wasn't able to enjoy it at all. I'm walking home, quietly watching the stars above, humming an old song while I do so. You seem to be in a good mood. Shuichi speaks up from beside me. I feel his hand brushing up against mine and the swooshing sensation of his tail wagging behind me. Of course, I'm dimly aware that mine is wagging just as much as his. It feels peaceful. I am. Oh, we're back home. We reach my house all too soon. Suddenly, it feels like these walks home that I used to find so dull and long have started to go by pretty quickly. I wish they were even longer. Thanks for walking me home. You don't have to thank me. It was my pleasure after all. I hope Hitsuka-chan wasn't too miffed about it. She lives in the opposite direction, and so far away that she needs to take a car to get there. She's my sister, and I love her, but there's no way I'm walking for an hour and 20 minutes to take her home. Did you call a cab for that? Or did you call a cab for her? Yeah. Besides, if I walked her home, I would have no excuse not to come inside. I still feel a bit awkward about seeing my mom. Why? I don't know. Part of me feels guilty for not going with her during the divorce. I haven't been around to see her in a while. That's the first I hear it. Why did you never tell me? I didn't want to worry you. But then again, after seeing what you did during Dad's birthday party, I think it's better if I explain my reasons to you. Otherwise, you might just show up with my mom out of the blue one day. Ugh, you're never going to let me live that down, are you? Not a chance. He takes a quick look around to see if there's anyone nearby before giving me a quick peck on the lips. Man, I wish I could stick around a little longer. So do I. I kinda have an idea. Could you ever ask your dad if he'd be okay with you spending a night here during the weekend? He's allowed that before, so I don't see why he wouldn't now. I can try. He's been in a good mood lately, so now might be a good time to ask. That's great. Mom will be traveling to a neighboring city to help on a case, so it'll just be the two of us and Aki. Not like I have any problem spending time with your mom. Misaki-san seems to like it a lot too. I wonder how much she'd like you if she knew you were my boyfriend. That is a fair consideration. I have no idea. Still, it's nice to hear it. You calling me boyfriend, like it's no big deal. Yeah, I know I can be awkward and a little slow at dealing with things, but I've been feeling a lot more comfortable with it these past few days. But then again, it's only been a week, so it's not like I've been super slow to get used to it. To be honest, things have been going much smoother than I expected. A part of me totally thought you'd have broken up with me by now. That's not a nice thought. Don't think things like that. I try not to. It just comes to mind when I'm distracted. You come to my mind a lot when I'm distracted. Shoo. I should probably get going. If I want to stick around, or if I stick around too much, I won't want to leave. Hell, I already don't want to. That's fair. I hope I get to see you again tomorrow. You bet. Oh, I watch him disappear into the nearby turn, silently wishing he could stay a little longer. God, is this really what falling for someone is like? It's such a weird feeling. But I still like it. No! Don't go. Let me save first. I'm just gonna save here. Yeah, it's fine. Anyway. Hello everyone, hope you guys enjoyed this update. As you guys could see, things have been going smoothly for our pair despite the events of the competition during the weekend. As the MC becomes more comfortable with his newfound relationship, the two are bound to get a lot closer. I hope I was able to capture that feeling we have at the start of the relationship. When everyone is new, it's surprising. When we have a rush just being around the person we like and want more of it. Sometimes it can happen without us knowing. It just creeps in little by little, and before we know it, we just think, I really want to be with them. I want to spend more time with them. Hope you guys will continue to enjoy the progression of our first little couple among the roots. See you guys next month. Alright, so that is the end of the update, and guess who I will be calling? Alright, welcome everybody. This would be what happened if the call was successful, so I am here with Basket. I think.
Hello, I am. I think he's here with Basket.
Yeah, sure.
But if you guys will wait, I can go ask Basket.
Alright, cool. Yeah, I think my desktop audio works, but yeah, so basically we are doing the Q&A now, so yeah, not too much else to say. Like, it's kind of hard to like go off on a streak after having to wait a day to do this, but so I got about 4 or so questions from you guys, and the first question comes from Decondence Risk, who asks, what are some things that help inspire you to write, especially when dealing with writer's block?
The answer to this probably isn't what people want to hear, but you kind of have to learn how to write while dealing with writer's block, because the amount of times you're actually going to be inspired, you can probably count on your fingers.
True that. Like, whether it's art or writing, like, there's a lot of just, it's so hard to actually want to do it. Like, there'll be days where I'm like, I really don't want to draw this character right. I really don't want to learn something new, but that's the only way you grow, right?
You have to practice a lot. Like, there's no getting around it. Right, sure, if you work when you're inspired, it goes a lot faster. But that happens so not often enough for you to count on it. You really have to learn to be diligent.
Oh god, so true. And it's like, for me personally, though, it's like I've played volleyball too, like through college. It just ended this last month, but yeah, it's like when you start, you get really excited. You're finally like, okay, this is going to happen, and then you hit this like middle kind of threshold where things kind of become monotonous, and that's when people get better. Like to stop looking at that monotonous part and go, hey, this is the chance where I get better, and basically to kind of just plow straight forward through that. And yeah, that's kind of what I ended up doing throughout this season. And eventually just improved by the end of the season enough to, you know, help our team make playoffs. So enough about me. It's more about basket. Yeah. I don't know. It's like this was an interesting question though because we were trying to do this question like when the audio didn't work, and this was the one question that I asked. So it's like kind of hard to kind of do this like improv when it's like we've already done this one before. But yeah, moving on to the next question comes from Luke Nabsta, the creator of my Discord, supposedly asks, "What's Basket's favorite character?" A question that I bet you get a lot.
Uh, Jesus. Picking favorites, I don't really like doing a lot, but in terms of who I would get along with the best, it would probably be someone with June's personality because it's just so refreshing and uplifting being around someone like that.
Yeah. It's like people that are just very, I would say extrovert, but just very bubbly to say, really make things right. Like, I know a person in real life with that type of personality where it's like, even if they're not as introverted, it's like they're very just kind of in your face, like, yeah, let's do this, yeah, let's do that. And it just really makes like the social circle you have with them just go live or whatever. Like, it's hard to describe, but yeah, it's like really hard to imagine kind of a friend group or yeah, friend circle like that without a character like June. So it was kind of nice getting him in as like, the new kid for things cuz things really started to kick off with him, I think in my opinion.
I mean, the story basically starts with him moving in.
Yeah. It's like kind of the fish out of water story and yeah, there was something like that where I did that with my novel that I'm helping draw for actually is kind of like that, a fish out of water story where they are like the quirky type of person. They're going to a new town. Basically, they're an ambassador for their country or whatever, and they have to kind of get used to the new culture. I won't spoil more than that, but yeah, just something that kind of related off my head. And I was like, oh. But yeah, I think another question that I think would kind of relate to Lugnopsa's question would be like, what is your favorite character to write?
Oh, the answer for that would still be June because his personality is the one that comes the easiest to write. Keisuke is the one that's most difficult because as a person he's very guarded, he's very withdrawn. It gets easier to write him as his route goes along and he starts getting out of his shell. But as a rule of thumb, writing for a character that's that guarded about his emotions is pretty difficult because it's hard to try like get into the character's head and figure out what he's going to say because at one point it stops being, oh, I want him to say this, and it eventually becomes like, oh, okay, what would he say, like if this character is act like an actual person for me, he has all these layers. What would he say?
I think the toughest thing is like if you don't have that personality, like if it feels like talking with you it's like you definitely are more of a June personality where you don't seem to be as guarded. You're more, I guess, socially open, things like that. It's like personally when I've read Tennessee's, I related more to Keisuke and that kind of strife of opening up. And I think it's really tough to write a character that is so guarded when you're not that, or even if you are, it's hard to kind of project how to write somebody like that. It's easy to really like not really give them any personality and just really keep them shut off, but to like have kind of like their little cracks and crevices open to what they like, I think is probably the hardest part. Am I sure right, I guess?
Yeah, there are a lot of things about writing for a character that's like you have to make it believable at the same time that you have to keep everything consistent with what is already shown of the character, you also have to show new layers about the character, like show new parts of their personality. And there was this one update I released where someone actually messaged me and said, "Hey, I feel like this character trait you gave him just came out of nowhere. There was no foreshadowing for it. Did you just make it up on the spot?" And I just kept looking at that and going, I have detailed character bios that I wrote for each and every one of them that I keep in my computer. That has been in his character bio since 2016. Like
Jesus.
people people's character traits aren't don't have foreshadowing. You just find out about them.
That's how people are naturally, and I'm just thinking like you could have like the snarkiest response of like this is a thing that came out of nowhere. It's like, well, I'm the writer. This is what I say. But that what your response was to that was really good because that actually transitions into the next question from Zobme Rules, who asks, "When did you start working on the novel?" And you already answered this, but are there any characters you found significantly easier or harder to write than others?
The first concept for the thing came out like 3 years before I actually started writing it. I think it was 2014 that I had the idea, and it changed a lot since then.
Hmm.
But officially, I started working on it as a visual novel in early 2016, I think January 2016. And I didn't release the first demo until February 2017. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that is something even personally like it's hard to like get going with an idea when it's like it's kind of like your child or if it's like your first big novel to write. Like I'm sure for like people who are like multiple time writers like such as Howley where they basically were writing a new novel while writing another, but it's really hard to kind of get off the bat and just be like, okay, let me put this onto paper, put this into code because I've had an idea like that for like the past 2 years, and I haven't even started officially writing anything on it. But yeah, it's something that's not unnatural for a new writer. So if you are trying to write a novel, like definitely don't be scared. I would say to anybody looking for advice on this, like it's okay to kind of like brainstorm for like a year or two or whatever. Just as long as you eventually put it down, like that's always the scariest part. Just putting it on paper and letting the people come in, the criticism, the changes, and everything. Because from your beginning, Basket, like things have changed dramatically since like the first previews and like photos and whatnot that I've seen of your novel. Like character art changed, story direction changed. What did you say?
I wouldn't go so far as to say the story direction changed, but yeah, the sprites all changed. The entire game got upscaled to 720p. Initially, it was 800 by 600, and nowadays, I kind of regret not making it 1080p from the get go. But at the time I scaled it up, I didn't even have a 1080p monitor, so I couldn't even work with the resolution. Uh, I let's see. The UI also changed. Thank God. The original UI of the game was terrible. I still think the current UI is pretty meh, but it's better than what I had on release.
Honestly, it's better than like some of the art, like the kind of layouts I've had to deal with. Like there was one game, like if you've heard of, like the Hasty Night, I had like some trouble like figuring out menu options there. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was another one, Notes of Hearts. I had the hardest time. I had to like email or not just email, like DM the creator of it on Twitter about how to even like pause a game and when I could save a game. Like I think the good thing about Rempe is that it's very like things are laid out and given at least for default, so you can just change those instead of having to create all your save points yourself. Did I?
Hello?
Oh, you're still there. Did I? Did I just cut out there?
I don't know if you cut out or if you just stopped talking, but there was silence for a second, and I wasn't sure if you were still saying something.
Oh no, I was like, I think I may have drew it off a little, and just, and I was kind of like waiting for the response, but I was just saying with the whole like layout of games, like I love how REMP like lays out the save points or whatnot, like the default menus and whatnot, and you can just change those as opposed to having to know those and build those from scratch. Would you agree?
I kind of have an aversion towards template anything, to be honest. I worked for many years with RPG Maker. I started working on it when I was 11, and I only stopped in my second year of college. So I used the platform for a while, and it was basically everyone agreed on the download, on the down low, not download, agreed on the download that projects that worked using default assets that came with the program were pretty much never going to be anything more than average, because since everyone else is using them, there's really nothing unique to call anyone's attention. So everyone always tried to have their own graphics, their own sound effects, their own music, their own battle systems, their own everything. And that kind of translated with me for Renpi, because I immediately tried to change my UI and make it as far away from default as possible. So much so that everything in my UI is actually programmed from scratch using image maps,
Oh
because
my
I didn't want
god.
to have anything template on it.
I gotta give you mad props for that because, like, it seems like you have a lot of experience in programming besides RPG Maker. Like, were you ever like in the like computer science
Oh,
classes or programming during schooling?
we don't have these classes in school in Brazil.
Oh,
The most I ever had was like my school had computer classes up until third grade in elementary school.
oh god.
And the most that was ever taught to us was like, this is Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is used for this. Congratulations. That's the end of the class.
Okay.
Uh, for the UI, I paid a programmer to program it for me, but eventually I realized that I messed up, because instead of sending him the game to program with the programming that was already in the game, he programmed it in a blank project with his own version of RenP and sent me the code, which means I spent over a week trying to figure out how to actually implement it in the game.
Oh, that's the worst thing because it's like there's all those separate files when you open REMP and you have different folders for like menu, for like the assets, just regular character images, for how the menu pop up is. Like, there's so many things that if you really want to make it a exceptional game, you really have to just tinker around with that to say the least. So yeah, it's really tough to know if you're like new to programming, but my advice for that would be to definitely try out coding.
I actually plan to go to do a long distance college thing for programming, because while I really appreciate my work with RenP and my VN, it's definitely not something I would call stable income. I have a hard time trusting that I'll still have this job 20 years from now. So I want to actually study something that would give me stability later in the future if things go wrong.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of what happened with me. It's like while I've been having this kind of surge in views and like surge in just kind of my videos lately, I've been still like kind of dedicating a lot of my time towards schooling and whatnot because I'm also doing like a technology related type of degree. I'm going into statistics, and it's like you want to hit for those like popular and like modern related degrees, like especially that involve programming, because those are going to be the ones that it's like the mainstream, as I'm going to call it, would be more in demand for. Like, it's hard to have such a niche genre like this, like visual novels. Like, as much as a fan base as you'll get here, it's gonna be nowhere enough to like something that's gonna even keep you going for years on end. Like, even looking at bigger games or like Howley or HTBH games, like you'll still see like kind of like their Patreon amounts, and those alone would not even be able to be stable enough for just an average monthly income for a minimum wage.
And then you remember that those people actually have to use that income toward their art and whatnot for their games.
Yeah, there's that donating to, your artists, or yeah, spending your time towards the art, like whatever you're doing for that. Yeah, and then just yeah, for the costs of livings too. It's like you just think like, oh man, they're making a profit off of this game, and then you just start realizing, oh shoot, there it all goes on rent. There it all goes on utilities. There it all goes on transportation. Oh no, it's gone.
Yeah.
Tough stuff, but okay. I'm gonna move on to the next question and go to Otaku Boy Zay, who asks if Haruki was one of the routes that the MC could pursue, which I know isn't. How would you go about doing his route?
Oh man, that answer would be that's something that I it's kind of tough to answer here because it would very much be an answer that's not suited for work.
I mean, this channel is fine, man, as long as you don't go too explicit, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, if you can broaden the terms, like, would it go more into like his family? Would it go more into just his personal kind of insecurities or demons?
Basically, the MC would after it would if it were turned into a route, it would be something like after the scene in the rooftop, a new choice would appear in character selection when you already have those hearts with Shoichi. A new choice would show up for Haruki, and you'd have to pick him. And then once you locked into his route, it would basically be the MC trying to breach the guy's defenses because he's very defensive about everything, trying to help him with his home situation because the MC is worried about that. Eventually, the MC would fall for the guy and would try to confess to the guy, but he'd just be too afraid to commit to anything like that because he has trust issues due to his family situation. He doesn't know how to deal with affection. He'd flinch at sudden movements, a lot of things like that. Eventually, he basically say, "Nah, I don't feel that way for you. Like, I can't date you, but you can be my fuck buddy if you want."
So kind of like,
And the MC the MC would be like, "Oh, this is the best I can do. I guess I can handle that," and he wouldn't be able to handle that.
yeah. So basically, kind of like Darius, like so kind of like Darius from extracurricular activities. If we're kind of comparing analogies a little bit.
I've never played Darius's route in extracurricular activities, so I have no idea what it's like.
Oh shoot! Like, I mean, I know you know Dine Wolf, and that's why I brought it up, because it's like if you play Darius's route, like it kind of is like that, where it's like the characters are very close off and kind of is basically like trying to treat the MC kind of like a fuck buddy, and as time goes on, it's like you start to kind of break through the crevices and just kind of take down his defenses too. So I think the difference would be that Haruki would be a little more defensive than him, but still.
Isn't like I said, I've not played the Darius route, so I have no idea. But from what little I've played, because I have played some routes, mostly at the behest of my ex, from what I remember, he's basically this lewd guy that's always flirting with everyone, and that just is not Haruki at all.
Oh no! Like I wouldn't compare that. I'm just saying the kind of the dynamic sexually, I would say, is something that they are kind of close and related to. Like personality wise, they're completely different, but just motivations and ulterior motives, I would say that they both have walls that just need to be broken down by the MC. That's why I relate to. But yeah, no way. They're like night and day, honestly.
I mean, that's kind of a case of most people.
Yeah, that's how the best couples are,
Like
right?
anyone that's come out of that's had a very bad end to a previous relationship or stuff like that is going to be more closed off, and it's going to be a challenge to approach no matter what. So
Yeah, I totally get it too. Um, but yeah, like one thing that I was interested with Haruki is just yeah, it's kind of the friendship dynamic that he's starting to create with Nico, and yeah, it's like we definitely can't spoil this now, but it's just like I'm just hoping that personally that he can just kind of bring those walls down enough to like the point where he can at least be more of a frequent side character, or at least part of the friend group in some ways. Like I know you can't say anything about that, but that's just how I feel like if I could see it in some way, I could totally see him just, like the MC is just gonna keep trying to help him out, and
um,
possibly Shuichi.
uh, for someone like him, that would be very challenging because considering his backstory and all, he might have good days where he's feeling better and he's more approachable, but he would be someone that's very hard to get close to. Like one day he can be quasi friendly and joke around with you, and the other day he might just push you away and go off.
Okay,
So it's not that easy.
so day 20 was very good at summarizing that because it definitely was a change in pace when we saw that. Oh, Haruki is actually not being a complete asshole to us now. Like he's doing it out of a more coy playing way with us, and yeah, wasn't as brash as like I'm trying to think like especially in the first few days like day 14 or whatever it is and like the character select days like those he was extremely like rough and off-putting to us, but yeah, it just I think to some people it just looked like initially it was like oh he's becoming easier and easier, and I could totally see a role reversal of that eventually.
It really depends on his daily mood. Like so sometimes he's gonna be having good days, sometimes he's gonna be having really shitty days. It's not that easy to predict.
Okay. Yeah.
which is which is one of the reasons Keisuke eventually became the third root instead of Haruki, because Keisuke actually meshes well with the group dynamic, given that he's already part of the group. Haruki does not, and I didn't like the idea of writing a third root that's just completely separate from the main group.
Oh, so yeah, it would have just completely just been those two together. Like you wouldn't have ever considered like bringing him into the group. Like it would have been too much for his
That would
personality.
have been very difficult.
Okay, yeah, I think we beat that dead horse enough. But we're gonna move on to one of my own questions. That kind of a guilty pleasure question I'd ask is: would Shuichi ever consider playing beach volleyball?
I He'd probably play it if he went to the beach, but professionally, I don't see it.
Okay. Yeah, just curious about that because like you'll sometimes see me just joke around about that, being like, if he could be like a beach volleyball partner, that'd be great. Like he would be like a good type for that, where it's like he's a taller player and could block, could set, seems very well rounded as a player too, especially with serving and whatnot. But that's just me kind of nerding out with his volleyball traits, to say the least.
Well, at least you like the idea because of volleyball traits, because I think a lot of people would like the idea just because that would mean he's almost perpetually shirtless.
Yeah, there's always that too, but yeah. It's like when you're on the beach scene long enough, you're just kind of like, I don't care about that. I'm in for the competition, and Yeah, it's like it's so funny seeing that outside stereotype of oh, it's like they're in almost no clothes or whatever. Like oh, they're in bikinis. Oh, they're in just shorts or whatever for beach volleyball. Like that's just the stereotype of it. It's like oh, volleyball is such a sissy sport, and then you go to beach volleyball. And it's like oh, look at them just dressing up like it's a day for the beach. But I think that's just more of my stereotype for things. But yeah, that's my question for it. Moving on. So, how do you write characters with such diverse interests, such as Alex with his interest in history, Keisuke and Jun with their tastes in music, Ayaka with the rare trading card games, Jin and Gin with like food and cooking, etc. Like, how do you get such a broad library and like write them so like not only realistically but like so well like as if you are them?
Oh, Alex is kind of cheating because Alex is a Patreon character, and I just have a list of what things the character likes and dislikes given to me when the guy bought the character spot. So that is not my credit, but for the others, just I look up subjects that are interesting that people can be passionate about. I study them a little bit to make sure I'm not writing gibberish, and I try to work with it. The important thing about writing characters is to make them diverse and like actual people. If you have 20 characters that all behave exactly the same, then you don't really have 20 characters.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, my follow-up question with that is just I think you may have answered this already, but just how do you get in the heads of your characters? Like
You just get to know them as you write them more. Writing for a character is like getting to know a person. You find out different facets of their personality little by little until they become their own thing.
okay. All right, so next question I got is oh, shoot, I'm not like I feel like I just rewrote the same question three times. But is it tough to write about characters' experiences that you haven't faced yourself? Like I don't know, with like maybe like Yuichi's scenario with family, Shuichi's situation with like the divorce, or Haruki's experiences with family issues there. Like, how do you like write so many different types of experiences, even if you haven't experienced them firsthand?
I do a lot of research on these things to look for accounts from people that went through them that talk about how it was, what they felt, things like that. I try to understand what would go through a person's mind in these situations, and I try to write a character that's like that. Sometimes I'm afraid, like there are a few things that'll happen in one specific route, which are like I've gone through some of that, but not nearly through the same degree that this character goes through. And just the idea of writing it, I'm kind of freaked out about it because I don't want to not do it because it's an important part of the story. But I already know that if I do it wrong, I might end up insulting some people, and that's kind of scary.
And I'm not gonna say who the character is, but I think I know which character you're talking about, and I can personally relate with that scenario where it's just I would say kind of like a management type of issue or just kind of a control power dynamic issue, I think.
I can't say, my lips are sealed.
Yeah, it's like kind of tough. It's like I'm trying to like just kind of telepathically just connect right now and being like, I think I know who it is, but I ain't gonna say anything. Especially not to spoil it for everybody, but yeah, it's very interesting to like research these types of things, whether it is like disorders or issues with family or just events like that. There's so much that just goes into it that you definitely need to do research.
Yeah, doing research is a very important thing if you want to write anything. Because unless you're making up an entirely different world with an entirely different race of beings that do not have human emotions and that have entirely different objects and whatnot, you're gonna have to do research because you need to know what you're writing about.
Oh, that's so true. And even for the novel that I am working on, it is supposed to be like, like a fantasy world. But all the countries I've been told and like, okay, draw this character based on this and whatnot, like each of these like worlds for like the different species and whatnot are based on like real world places like Norway or like Ireland or like I don't know. It's like I'm trying to think of all of them right now. Like we just started, but it's like you'll see kind of like power dynamics based on just like kind of the countries or just kind of their culture and how you kind of create the designs, whether it is more realistic like or fantasy. So yeah, that was my biggest struggle when I tried to start writing is that I just did not have the motivation to research, and that's a thing. It's like it is kind of an English paper in a sense. Like you're like kind of writing that essay on your characters and on your story. It's like a summary of their lives. So you can't just write something about something you haven't lived. Theoretically.
Research can be fun by itself, like because the thing is, if everyone wrote about what they lived, like if people only wrote about what they know, the sad reality is a lot of books you'd find out there would be about white men or women in their early 20s or late 30s as they were a cashier in a supermarket and stuff like every single story would be the same thing because there are so many people in the world that went through the same situations. Like there would be no variety.
Yeah. And
For starters, you wouldn't have fantasy because no one here lived in the Middle Ages.
true on that. But yeah, it's like with a lot of movies where it's like there are some where it's like they'll hit the mainstream or it's like things that are supposed to be, marketed. Like those are the movies that I feel like are the most guilty of that. Like even though they're supposed to be, statistically the right things are supposed to hit the right numbers or whatnot. It's like the research in theory for the story itself is just like terrible. Like there was this one movie that was like watching a review on, I forget, I think it may have been called a lot, not alive, but it was ever after or something like that, where it's basically just about this kind of like white privileged girl that was going into like her freshman year or whatever of college and moving in there, and it was like your basic kind of neat typical romance not story or movie, and that's what I feel is kind of like the product of when people just don't put enough depth into their story. And yeah, it feels too normal. Like it's you don't want to hear about normal all the time. Like I feel like half the time people read novels, especially I feel like this is something I believe is that people will read stories and like write stories or basically literature exists for the sake of escapism and for the sake of desiring, an experience in a new life.
It can definitely be something like that for a lot of people. Like, if you're dealing with a tough situation in your home life, you're not going to want to pick up a book and read about exactly what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. It's like also with that, it's like especially for athletes, and this is how I got into like extracurricular activities, or even especially tennis ace. Looking through it was like when I got into it, I was at a time where I was just not having the best in my volleyball career. Like I was just riding the bench and kind of being like the loser. Where just he did not get his time to shine, and just hearing about like Yuichi and Shuichi having their shining moments of being the stars on the floor and being like the best in their league and like winning the championships. It's like those are the things where it's like even if they relate to you, people like to have similar esque stories, but for those things where it's like they go beyond what they are now, or like to imagine what if I was up here or whatnot, or what if I could do this, and that is such an appeal to these novels and kind of a great asset for people that are looking for something to read. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to think about like second where I was gonna go with that. Like I lost the thought on this, but So close to having it. It was like related to just like yeah, how it is the escapism stuff, but yeah, that's how it helped me get into the art too. Like, what if I can draw, furry related art of sports or whatnot? Like, what if I can combine the two things I like, sports and this fandom? But yeah, I think that's how most people get into this fandom.
Well, it's a lot about writing and drawing what you feel happy doing. No point. There's no point drawing stuff that brings you misery because if you're not enjoying yourself doing it, how are people supposed to enjoy themselves reading it?
Oh, exactly. Like you want to write something that you want to produce. Like you want to do something that's like even with the writer's block, it's like you want to have something that you're proud of, having to, put on paper, have something that it's like this is something a part of me that I want to give to you. Like every story is like a part of themselves that they're portraying to the outer world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I think yeah, I've gone too long with that question, but this is the last question that I have written down, but does it bother you when people compare your persona to Shuichi?
I mean, they're completely different. So the only similarity between the two is that they're huskies. Like that is all. They have different color palettes because Shoichi is a lot more of a deep dark blue, while mine is more of a grayish blue. I have earrings while he does not. My eyes are a different color. The clothes are completely different. The body build is different. The size is different. Everything is different.
I think the more so it's like it happens when people just look at the face or just look at like a headshot of the character and go, oh, it's the same like fur, like the same fur power or layout as Shuichi, even if it is slightly different. Like Shuichi doesn't have like the dark fur coming up to his nose, but still, it's like you look at first glance and it's just like, I wonder what Shuichi is based off of. Like, how much of like Shuichi's appearance was kind of based off of that, and how much was just you just having a separate idea and it was just a coincidence.
They're just both huskies. Like there's not anything else to it.
So it's completely unintentional.
Yeah, they're not supposed to look alike at all.
Okay. Yeah, definitely two opposites with that. All right, so that is all I have for questions. I'm just gonna leave it open for like another maybe like 2 minutes or so to see if anybody wants to ask questions in the chat, and then I think we'll just end things from there. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how big is the delay between the stream, between you talking something and it showing up in the stream, it might take more than 2 minutes for them to even know that they're supposed to ask questions.
Oh, I've had like the share experiences with that where it's like I'll do character choices and it's like I'll have to time it and go, let me see, is this gonna take a minute or is it gonna take 30 seconds? Like sometimes it goes between like maybe 20 seconds and a minute. So I don't think it's ever gone like 2 minutes or more, but yeah, YouTube system is just like they've changed it up, and it's like there are some good things with like thumbnails, like putting those in, it'll automatically like reduce the size for those down now, but at the same time it's like you'll have to like reinstate the stream key, the pop out the chat. The editing studio for it is a bit different. Yeah, I just think there were some things where it's like a bit unnecessary to change. Like it just makes it like you have to do more steps in order to do things.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's one time I had something kind of like that going on with like I do like programming too, like I said, for computer science. Like I've had to do like C++ and Java and those things in like Visual Studio, which is kind of like that in that it updates every 2 years, and when you get the new updates, there's always something where it's like you have to do an extra step now, or there's something that's really odd now, or you have to make a new type of project for things. Like recently, I had to do something like that where it's like the way I formed a project was completely different in that I have to either include a separate file if I wanted to create the same type of application, or completely empty out a project and find out different things for creating new files. And it just got really annoying and inefficient for somebody who's literally just doing this just for the sake of graduating through the class. And I'm never gonna like totally touch C++ again.
Yeah. I hear that it's one of the most complicated languages to learn, so.
Okay, so there's one question I forgot, I kind of overlooked and forgot to ask earlier, but let me put it down. So, what was the Harvest Festival about on day 10 with Shuichi and Yuichi? Like, this is what Zombie Rules asked, and I wasn't too sure about what the question was implying. Like, were they just asking what the Harvest Festival is, or is it gonna come into play later? But yeah, like
No. Okay, from what I can read, he's asking if the school festival is the one that they talk about in the day 10 for Shoichi, I think. And the answer is no. The school festival is a school festival. It's not the Harvest Festival, which is something citywide.
okay, so it's just something else that they had done together a while back, and it's not really that crucial for anything. It's not like the festival they went to on day 10 or the school festival.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, to my other questions for now. So, all right, I think I'm gonna end things here. It was really great chatting with you and having this as a good little follow up for the 50th episode special. It was really nice. And if anybody has any questions for like either of us, you could like hit us up on Twitter, or for me, you can leave comments here on YouTube. Not as responsive there now, but yeah. So this is all I have for my Q&A with Basket and our 50th episode special for Tennis Ace. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care, guys.
See you guys.